Oh, I get to do the intro again. Yay! Hey, this is the best overall show. I'm Noah. This is Kazra and Joe.
Hey.
And here we are. What's up, guys?
Hi, folks. How we doing? You have been busy, my friend. We missed you.
Woo! Yeah, y'all have been having some good times while I was away, too. Last episode went pretty well.
Yeah.
So
We had the man, the myth, the legend, JT McDowell.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Talk some charity hammer, you know.
Very cool. Did either of you have any events these last couple weekends?
no, I have a GT next weekend, which I'm prepping for.
Ooh, which one is it?
It's the Gemhammer GT in Dayton, Ohio.
Oh,
Just a nice
tear
little
up-
8-hour drive for me south.
Well, that's not that bad.
That's not too bad. I do 7 when I go to Spokane. So I can feel you there.
Spokane's like 5.5 for me.
Yeah, not too bad. It's for me, the discrepancy is mostly the border. I basically live in Noah's backyard, but for a border.
Yeah, for sure. Like if there wasn't a border, we'd probably be at each other's house a lot more than we are.
I'd be there right now in that background, holding that beautiful box that you bought me. Oh, I love you so much.
Dude, it's sweet. We have. I'm trying to think. I don't have. My next big event is Atlanta, which is in.
Maybe.
Like 6
Oh
weeks.
yeah,
Kaiser, you're prepping for an event coming up though.
I am. So I am going to be with you at Atlanta, which is exciting. But I have Kippers Melee coming up, not this coming weekend, but the following weekend. It is, I think, the last golden ticket event in Canada, and I have bullied a couple lovely Americans like Mr. Donald Plummer to come and try to steal a golden ticket from a Canadian. I'm so excited.
Yeah, you. I mean, like you've already got yours. So you're locked in. So you're just there to make sure people know that they only got it because they came in second to you, right?
I'm there to have a good time and a last hurrah for the Space Marine Index because the rules cut off, like the codex officially drops I think on the 7th and the rules cut off is on the 6th. So it is what it is. I will enjoy re-rolling all of my wound rolls for one last tournament and then after that I start prepping for Atlanta with the new codex, which is both exciting and like I gotta say a little exhausting because I feel like the last 6 months have been me preparing for an event where my rules are going to be obsolete. It kind of started with Kansas City. It was like everyone was talking about 10th, and here I am prepping to play like the most important games of 9th of my life, and so the needle keeps moving. But yeah, I'm very excited to get into the new codex, so it'll be fun.
At least most of your data sheets didn't change very much.
That's true. That's true. I will feel the loss of the rerolls on Oath. I'm excited to delve into some of the other chapters, if you will. Although I gotta say, I mean, there's a reason why I like Ultramarines. I have a feeling Gladius will end up being my home. But I'm gonna date around a little bit, see how it feels like to be a Salamander or an Iron Hand for a minute.
The Iron-handed style detachment looks pretty sick.
I can see Gulliman in there giving that strat that gives the sustained hits and crits on 5s to a second vehicle. Oh, 2 whirlwinds just doing that out of line of sight. Amazing.
I think no, dude. I think 3 Inceptors with things in their back because the thing's shooting out of not Inceptor, Impulsor. The thing's shooting out of the Impulsor. It's the Impulsor that is shooting.
Oh, you're right. I didn't even think about that, you beautiful man.
So you like my list. I mean, maybe not Desolators or maybe Desolators, but my list that I did before where
the Desos and the
so now they all explode on 6s or
you could do that to 2 of them. That's did you just give me a use for my Desolators again? Oh my God, Noah, I love you.
I mean, you can do it with Hellblasters. You can do it with all kinds of stuff.
Amazing. And yes, Liam, this is true. No more rerolls will mean I will start burning dice in front of other people or be in front of my other dice, because the reason I play a reroll army is my first set of rolls always sucks. So this is my best friend. He knows. He knows.
Is there any chance that this will be ready in time for Atlanta?
Honestly, no. And I only say that because I have had a lot of commissions on my desk. So I've got 1,000 Suns army that I'm finishing off for Atlanta. I've got a Kairos Fate Weaver that I'm finishing off for Atlanta. And then I've got to come back, and I've got a Norn Emissary and an entire Custodes army that are being commissioned as well. So I'm going to be busy painting, but just not for me.
Oh no! For those who are in the who are listening to this podcast, what I showed just now that Ass would be ready is we'll get that talk. But during my trip, my pilgrimage to the Holy Land, I retrieved the Warhammer World exclusive Land Raider, Command Rhino that you can only get buying it in person there, and it's like all decked out with like Ultramarines, beautiful, and it's like we'll get to it, but it's like Khazra's spiritual Land Raider,
and it's detailed and it's cool, but there's room for freehand. So I'm like that one. I'm gonna take my sweet time with, and it's gonna look really
great. Cool. Okay, so for this episode. So we're getting back to our normal routine again. We had Charity Hammer was a nice interlude, but we're going to go back onto our cycling of competitive episode, hobby episode, community episode. And what we have kind of scheduled is we're going to talk today a little bit about my trip to London. I went to the London GT, and we'll share some pictures and stuff. And then we'll talk about kind of our tournament prep and what we currently think about the meta, and really what we think. There's things we'll talk about planning for what you think you're going to deal with at an event, and what reality looks like sometimes in relation to what the current meta is, because I think there was some expectation of what the meta would be, and it didn't really turn out. And then next episode, I think we're going to do artistic inspiration, which some of the pictures we see and talk about from my London trip will probably make it back into that role. And then the one after that is going to be community focused. Right now, tentatively, I'm going to try to get Josh Konitz from Team USA to come in and talk about the new structure of the Team USA Federation. And it's a charitable foundation now too. And it's got a bunch of systems for getting new people in and reinvesting in the community and trying to up level generally the Warhammer 40K US scene. And so we'll get him on and talk about that process.
And it's interesting because I think that parallels a lot with what we're seeing from the Canada side as well, in terms of like broadening the scopes, WTC trying to get more inclusivity outside of just Eastern Canada, which it's traditionally been. So very cool topic. Really interested to having the chat with Josh. That'd be great.
Yeah, I got to meet him when I was in London, so it was super cool. Okay, yeah, so I'm not going to go through like every single round. What I'm going to talk about is we'll throw some pictures up. We'll talk about the trip a little bit. I'll talk about my experience both prepping for and experiencing the meta, kind of what I learned and what that's done to my brain space for going into Atlanta. Did we lose Khazra?
Nope, he's here.
Okay. What order do you have these pictures in? Okay, cool. So
the order you sent to me in.
Yeah, okay, cool. We'll bounce around. But me and my teammate Nick went to London. This is us just being weird, pointing at a thing in the background. But Nick took Grey Knights, and I took a Knights list to the London GT. I took an errant with a piece of text specifically for a meta that doesn't exist, which we'll get there. He brought the leadership buff aura. Then I brought a Tropus who was the MVP all weekend, just kicking butt, taking names. It was amazing with Mysterious Guardians. We'd warp up, show up, and just start blasting stuff. He's fantastic. He's also probably one of my favorite knights I've ever painted. He's got freehand on a bunch of panels, so I was super excited about that. And then 6 baby knights, a Calidus, and a Calexis, which I brought the Calexis expecting to see a larger propensity of gray knights and nids at the higher tables. Also not really true. It was moderately useful in my Eldar matchup, but other than that, it was, I think, definitely points that we better spend somewhere else. All right, let's hit the next one. Okay, so when you're prepping, so a very important part of events is your snack game.
Absolutely.
This is not. I was not prepared. They did not have my Jolly Ranchers. That threw me off a lot. And they definitely had things like a million flavors of Cheeto I've never heard of and prawn flavored Pringles. So the snack game was definitely like a new experience. There were some pretty good Cheetos.
I do love that there's Texas barbecue sauce and you're in the UK. That is
absolutely. Oh, there's some weird stuff. What was cool is they had all the flavor of Monster and some extra ones, so that was great. Me and mine eating like the steady caffeine flow was still good. The event was really amazing. LGT, very well run event from what I was at. It was using UKTC terrain, which I'll talk about here in a sec, which is of pre-formatted tables and very dense. How
are those floors?
Oh, it was actually really great. So the outside ring is elevated because it's a running track. It's got a slope. However, the middle of the track is flat and very spongy, very soft on the feet, which is great. There were 755 people. You can see that there's just a ton of people behind me. I have a video where I did a pan of it, and it's like there's 755 for 40K. There was a Malifaux event. There was a fantasy event. There's probably easily 1,000 or more people. And amazing food trucks outside. The food was delicious. And I played in the Friday RTTs, got my butt shellacked. I got to play against some really good players. And then I went and I played in the main event. So this was my first opponent on the left here was playing Eldar. So I went into that game thinking like, okay, Eldar's super hard. This guy specifically had chosen not to take Night Spinners because he kind of thinks they're a bad thing for the game. Well, that's true. Night Spinners are incredibly good. So I was pretty thankful. This game went kind of how I would expect and how my normal Eldar matchups have been. Essentially, all of my Eldar matchups have hinged on me dictating a behavior from a player and capitalizing on the behavior. So in LSO, I won because I baited a player to put the Incarn somewhere that seemed advantageous but was actually really bad for them, and then picked up the Incarn on turn 1 along with some other resources. In this, he had the Avatar of Cain. He had 2 fire prisms. He had a bunch of little like warp spiders and specters and stuff, a bunch of stuff to play the mission. And the side he set up his 10 Wraithguard and Avatar on, I just stuck an errant behind a wall where there was no way he could get to or interact with me for a couple turns. But that if he ever got aggressive, the errant could just come out and hit the Avatar with that Melta Gun. And the Melta Gun is Melta 6. And the Avatar's half damage happens before the Melta damage bonus is applied.
Mm-hmm.
So on a 3 or better, this thing just does 8 damage to an Incarn. To an Avatar of Cain. So it's pretty much like a death sentence. So he didn't want anything to do with it. And that means he never came past mid-table with the Avatar. And then about mid-game realized that Avatar needed to be on the other side of the table and started running that way. And it was just too little too late.
Yeah, and that is a slow model to be trying to zoot across the board with.
He was a fantastic opponent. And I got to hate my Atropos tank the Avatar Cain for 4 activations of combat.
Ha!
Ow.
That's unexpected.
Is that how all having damage works? Is it before?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's just like if you did the other way when you're doing your strength for a Thunderhammer, you multiply your strength, then you add your strength bonuses. Other way is you have the damage, then you add any bonuses. So Melta 6 is actually min 7.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have anything that's got Melta, that's actually really good for bypassing a lot of the damage reduction stuff.
Yeah, there was a time where the Avatar had special rules against Flamers and Melta, but now you kind of have to be a Salamander to get that kind of rule.
That's right.
PEMDAS!
Order of Operations. Thank you, sir. Why are the ruins on their sides there?
Oh, that was because we were just at the end of the game and we were flipping things over to find stuff.
Oh, okay. Very good.
That's not how they play in the UK, Joe. That's not just how
I don't know.
That's a fair point.
So my second opponent, who was on the right, fantastic dude. This is probably one of my favorite parts about 40K that I've ever experienced. Is I played a guy from Francisco from Spain who lives in England. He speaks almost no English. We played a 3-hour game with 0 arguments, problems, issues, or misunderstandings. We did not speak the same language. He understood very specific words that were words from the game. And he understood some hand gestures and stuff I made. And I made sure to be very clear out showing what my dice were. But basically, we did not speak the same language. We could not have a conversation.
That's amazing.
We had the funnest game. It was an 87-87 tie. Then we geeked out about hobby afterwards and hugged like 12 times. It was fantastic. He was playing Ultramarines, like my boy here.
Good man.
Gilliman with the aggressor blob. And basically, I just like held him in the middle of the table. He came out with the aggressors early, killed some stuff. I picked up all the aggressors and Gilliman by the end of 2. And then it was just kind of back and forth. He was really hitting he took fixed. And so he was really just hitting his points.
What a hero.
Yeah, but he was really good. Did very well. 87-87 tie was close. There was one turn, secondary came down to where I got 0 on my tactical just because of like elements being out of place. And that's really what came down to the game.
And it's amazing. Can you go back for 1 second? 1 second.
Yeah.
So knowing Noah, like I'm only seeing one eye in this picture, but I can tell you're not kidding. You had a great game, and the look on both of your faces, like not knowing anything else, that just looks like you had a great game. The fact that you didn't even speak the same language, but you actually did. You spoke Warhammer. That's amazing. Yeah, that's awesome. Dude. That's so cool.
Warhammer. It was amazing.
That's so
That's
cool.
One of the community things, dude. That's like one of the like for me, the fact that like you take any of the like playing for ego or anything out of this game, if you can just get down to play the game with the people, dude, it is great.
So cool.
So round 3 was against Ultramarines. Round 3 was again against Ultramarines. Similar build, except he had Blade Guard with Gilman. This was again.
You do mean Calgar, right?
Calgar, that's right, Calgar. Okay. Yeah. I meant Calgar every time.
I knew. I wasn't going to correct you, but you played them again. I mean,
yeah, Calgar is advance and charge, right? And it fall back and shoot and all that stuff. So I played the list again. This time it was almost the same mission, which was also wild. And again, it was close, but I pulled it out, and it was pretty much the same thing, right? Bait out the big blob, smash the big blob, especially with the Melta Errant, get into combat, start picking things up, and the Atropos just kind of goes on an adventure and then flanks over, and they get caught in the middle. That's most of how my anti-power armor games go. We got taken out to dinner by the Vanguard Tactics guys. That was fantastic. We went out to this amazing Turkish restaurant where they brought us just plates and plates of food. I got to hang out with Steven and Ben Jones. Ben's like one of the most lovely humans I've ever met. Great guy. And then I found out I was playing against Votan. So they brought over someone from the other table who knows Votan, and he gave me the rundown on what to expect.
Was that your waiter in the last slide?
Yeah.
Looks a little irritated.
I mean, there were 19 people at the table.
Oh wow,
that is quite a bounty, though. That looks delightful.
There were 4 of those plates.
Oof.
That is an epic pile of meat.
There's me and Nick.
Yeah,
going at it.
Nick looks very happy right there.
Yeah, and so then day 2 also was paint. So there's my boys set out, and there's a shot in here. Okay, yeah, cool. So we'll go with that. Was from my very last game with a demon just like hitting me in the shins while my Atropos was just holding the table. There were some really cool armies. This one was like a Tyranids army where all of the big bugs were like mutating out of the back of Chaos Knights.
Wow.
Whoa.
It was pretty insane, and the fact that it was like entirely a Grimdark palette directly beside my very like illuminated manuscript primary colors army was also pretty amazing. I actually overheard a conversation of them talking about the night and day of 2 armies beside each other. There's this really cool, well-painted Tau army. I believe this Eldar army, actually, the one beside it, this Eldar army, I believe, won Best Painted. You can't see it as well, but when you get in close, there is some really amazing, very like minute detail, freehand of like like the Wraithbone striations and all that stuff. So really an example of like
Beautiful.
executing to like the highest level of execution. A bunch of really beautiful armies, a lot of Eldar armies. There were 70 Eldar in attendance.
Holy cow.
This Tau army was really amazing. The Farsight Power Blade was super great. This was one of my competing Knight opponents. This Death Guard was like a really nice metallic green. So what's cool about this, what also weird about the UK is they're not a display board culture at all.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a serious lack of display boards here.
Yeah, it's like not a thing there at all, basically. But this was a really cool Creations of Bile conversion. That's like a flesh beast being ridden by a dude. It was really great. Took me a while to figure out what they were. There's this like primary color orcs army that I just love. That it's just like
wow,
very well put together, but very much feels like Tonka toys or something. Like it
Totally.
feels like how orcs would paint their models.
what is that 800-point monstrosity I see in the back there?
It's a Stampa.
That is a brave war boss. Is what that is.
This is a Necron army that is entirely converted like orc. It's a Necron orc converted army.
Necrorks.
Necrorks.
Orcrons.
Orcron. And this army, like, all the points to this guy. He did so much detail on the chitin. It was
Wow.
He did the coconut crab dotting. He did all the striations. Like, it was really amazing. This Death Guard army was just putrid, which I loved. This is Mohawk painting.
Jay does.
Yeah, Jay's amazing.
Yeah.
He's also
Amazing
He was
work.
also in the Knights the year before, and his stuff was really good. I got to meet him and shake his hand. Amazing stuff. His army, I love the aesthetic. It's like very like cyberpunk kind of like comic book. It was really amazing. Another really well executed Knights army. This was a Chaos Knights army with like everything. Like the big Knights had 4 legs. They were like horses. I won Best Knights, which was cool.
Wow.
And for performance, not necessarily for paint. Won Best Knights. I got a big old golden medallion, and my end record was 3-1-1. I ended up losing my Voton match that day against Voton, 96-23 or 96-73, 23-point difference.
It's a pretty hard matchup though for you, to be fair.
Yeah, and I learned a lesson. I put him in a position where like I could push for one more turn and then just put him in a answer this or lose the game. And I opted to do that, even though I knew that like whoever failed their aggressive push first lost the game.
Yeah.
And I thought, like I have enough here. Let's just try it, and it's okay if not. And a little bit of failure on my point, a little bit of luck on his, and some good rolling, and he just did too much damage. I was able to then like recede and continue to score my points and play the game. I should have receded. I should have pulled back a turn earlier and put him on less points for primary because of fixed. I just did it. I just pushed a little too hard, and that's okay. But it was a good lesson. It was my first time against Voton. That would be my only loss of the event. The round after, I played against Demons, and I had set up for like a 20-point win. And then all of like everything that could go wrong went wrong that turn. Like, didn't score primary because of like there's some like I needed to roll a 2 on an advance and charge. If I roll or on an advance, I roll a 1. Like I needed to make 1 of 4 9-inch charges. I made none of them, even with a reroll. So 5 9-inch charges didn't result in a charge. I needed 1 model to make it over to a location. He got overwatched. The guy pulled a 6. I made no save, no feel, no pains, and the model died. There was like, and I still won the game by a point. So I had like a 20-point lead that should have been a 20-point victory, and then it became down like I used all of my elastic space in the very last turn of the game.
Wow.
Well, hey, a 1-point game is still a win. Unless you're playing WTC.
How do they do paint score there? Is it a rubric or was it?
So we thought that's what they were going to do, but actually, it turns out, sadly enough, they only did best painted. So they actually got no hobby points for it, which is a little suck. I thought it was the other way. I had done some research and thought that they were doing it that way. Turns out they weren't, so it sucks.
Oh, you didn't get hobby points for this?
No, not at all. But then my Tacoma score hit, so I'm cool with that.
Okay.
I was gonna say I saw you pop up there, friend.
So overall, LGT was really great, and I want us to circle back and talk about the competitive side because that's like the focus. But I do want to just like speed run through these and talk about Warhammer World, which we'll come back to in inspiration. But we got to like make the journey since we weren't playing Monday or Tuesday. I came in like 130th or something overall, or 130th something overall at the competition of 755 people. Not at all a bad score. Got like 199 ITC points out of it. Pretty sweet.
Nice.
And that rocketed me up to, I just hit like 29th in ITC, which was really cool. And overall, it was a great game. I learned some things about the meta, but we'll come back to that. We'll talk about Warhammer World real quick. This place is literally, if you ever have a chance to go, this is total insanity. So we took pictures outside with the giant Space Marine, with the Rhino. I got to, dude, taking a picture with this Rhino was like a pretty big highlight of my life.
Is it just is it just like a dumpster that they modified? Like
it is basically, yes, the dimensions of a dumpster, yeah.
Because I was gonna say, like, given your background, like you've ridden in military vehicles, what?
I don't think I could fit in this. I might be able to fit in this, but the Marine definitely could not.
So you are a Primaris Marine.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
That's what I'm hearing. I mean, we've stood next to Noah. We knew he was Primaris.
And then we went into the lobby, and in the lobby there was this massive, really cool a diorama of like Grimmer's Gap, which is like a Tyranid invasion on Fenris. It's super cool. You can see like on one side there's like the Thunderwolf, the Terminators coming out to meet, and then behind that wall there's actually Thunderwolves like routing out a like an incursion. You can't see it in the picture I took, but on top of the spire, there's a hive tyrant like crouching dominantly, and there's like Tyranids all over the place. Got to snag a picture with Nigel Nurgelson, and I got to go walk up. There's a store there, so we walked through the store. They had some cool in-store dioramas like the Balrog versus Gandalf, and I had some other people's armies on exhibition, like on guest exhibition. This is like a
wow, that looks
like a neon. It looks like a binder from the 90s. It was like all neon colors. It was really great. You got to go eat a bug in the bar.
Nice.
The
poor orc.
And then I got to go through the exhibition center, which had all these crazy, amazing dioramas, which a lot of these are the actual art that comes out of the book. So that when you look in your codex, the models that are in your codex as the painted models are the models in this exhibition. And basically every model the only model that I saw that wasn't somewhere in the exhibition hall was the Orca, the Tau Orca. Everything else was in here somewhere. So this is this massive display of like night gaunt or night haunts. And on the other side of the display, there's actually like a mausoleum that like some stormcasts have like opened and are like fighting the ghosts coming out of it, and that's what this spill out is.
Ow.
Yeah, it's so cool. This is the that old school original Dark Angels diorama from like the old school like 3rd edition Dark Angels book. There's another old school diorama. This is that original.
Yes.
The original Fall of Sanguinius diorama, like the very first one.
This is such a classic. This is like 2nd edition / Rogue Trader, even maybe era.
Sure.
I didn't realize Horus had red armor in that photo.
He did it. He doesn't anymore. He's black now.
No, they retconned that.
Yeah.
And then we'll speed through some of these because we'll go back and talk about these in the inspiration episode. But just looking at it, there's just like all of these cool dioramas with these amazing details. Like this has a bunch of dragons flying up around one side. If you zoom in on some of this, there's like an angel killed a giant and is standing on his back. And another giant has like picked up a cart and using it as a club. This is the attack on that city outside of Minas Tirith. This is like a whole like Nurgle castle disgorging its containers. Like
these displays are huge, yeah. Like I feel like I could stand on that.
No, each one of these ones so far is so this one here is probably the size of a king size bed, right? Like wide. And this last one is probably the size of like if you took like a like a standing desk
Yep.
If you do 2 standing desks and push together, it's that entire surface level.
That's so cool.
So what's cool about this one? This is an assault on. This is the Sons of Horus assaulting a Imperial Fists. What's cool is the Terax drills. This is along the side of the play. And there's all these different pockets where you can see the drills have gone distance. And then on one side, the drills are like now like guys have got out of the drills and are fighting against other Marines. And then this display was really rad because this is one of every single Marine. It cuts down further, but one of every single Marine from every single chapter.
Oh my God. Like that's got both of my hearts racing right there as a fellow Astarte. That's amazing.
And this like the detail they put into these things is amazing. This like Black Templars Tyranids one was totally insane. There was like all these really cool details of like Gene Sealer's like aciding through the floor and like using his mind because he's a Marine player and a NIDS player. So just and then this is the big room. I'll get to a picture you see in a second. But this room is the size of Nick's apartment, of a 1-bedroom apartment. It's called this is Imperial Might. That's from the before, but it's called the Battle of Angelus Prime. Let's see if I can find the picture. Oh, did I not send the big one in?
Nope.
Oh well. Okay, so that Battle of Angelus Prime. I have other pictures. I'll put them up for the next time because we'll talk about it. Battle of Angelus Prime is a diorama the size of a 1-bedroom apartment. It's 3 levels, and it is massive, and it's a huge chaos force assaulting a massive Imperial bastion, and there are Ultramarines represented. There's one like small scene where like Marty's Calgar is in a bell tower fighting against a Bloodthirster. There's so like cool. There's a one where like a Chaos Warlord Titan is taking a drop pod to the face and it's exploding.
Oh my God!
There's this one epic moment where 2 Grey Knights, the Grey Knight Dread Knights, are back to back fighting on top of like a mounted like platform while they're being swarmed by bloodletters. And it's just literally just like probably 1,000 square feet almost of that, and then it's like in dimensions, right? Like it's like the ruins are like multiple floors high, and then also has like kind of like ravines that like go deep into, and the action is around all the way. So there's like parts where like Imperial citizens are escaping. There's a place where like bloodletters have like formed like a tower of their own bodies to get up to the next level. And then this is another example, like one of the cool dioramas. This is like a Tau assault on a Tau fortress. And then there's all this really cool art and like architecture that we saw, like the Abbey at Westminster, that really inspired me and also made me think of like this is probably where a lot of the inspiration for the early 40K architecture and stuff comes from.
Okay, hold up, Noah.
Oh. All right.
Sounds like you had a good time in the UK. All right.
I did.
I need to put your loyalty to the test here. Patriotism. Which of these 2 Georges would win in a Revolutionary War off?
I think we know. I was talking about this jokingly like the other day that like U.S. has so many problems because we're essentially born from renegades and criminals, and that's okay because that gave us the spirit we have. But
damn right.
I'll be a rules follower with my healthcare over here.
Okay, sounds good. Rory Patella says in chat, "God, that's wild." And really, it definitely is. It was something to be seen, something to behold for sure. But yeah. So we'll talk more about some of those. I'll probably pull up. I have like literally. So I sent you like a small number of pictures. I have 485 photos from that weekend.
Wow.
So I'll get some more stuff for like the inspiration stuff.
So out of 10, Noah, like rate the entire trip. The tournament's part of it, all of it. Rate the trip. Out of 10.
Easily. Okay, I would say is a 9. And I'll give you a little story, 2 stories that make it a 9 instead of a 10. One is we mostly went to places to eat. One night we got Uber Eats food, and we literally had to use the GPS and hunt our Uber Eats driver who couldn't find where we were, who's just circling wildly in a motorcycle through the streets of London in the middle of the night. And we literally had to like make a pincer motion, like get in front of him and get him to stop and convince him we needed to give the food to. And then on the last night we were there, we heard screaming and fighting and kicking, and we peeked our head out, and there was like a person from another country whose language I don't know, yelling at a woman from another country's language I don't know in a green dress. He ended up kicking a door down, breaking a bunch of glass. I had to call the police, which is 999, by the way, if you're in London.
Oh, good to know.
And they came and handled it. It was all good. But those two events kind of made things a little wobbly.
Jarring.
And also our taxi driver was extremely racist on our first driver. He was like, this neighborhood's the good neighborhood because it's mostly white. I'm like, no.
I think there are certain cultural things that we take for granted in North America, and I'm very happy for it.
So,
well, sounds like you had a great time though overall, and yeah, I'm really glad that you were able to go have a blast and kick some butt at the tournament too. Best nights. That's nothing to shake a stick at, dude. How many people are at LGT?
755.
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal, man. So good job.
It was a pretty wild thing. I think though, so like segueing into the thing that we're actually going to talk about, like, is that I made my plans for that event thinking based on talking to people in Cherry Hammer and stuff, that the meta was going to be heavily Necrons, Tyranids, Eldar, and some Grey Knights, and then some other stuff, smattered in, obviously Marines. And Necrons really struggled to get past the mid-tables. I think a lot of people came teched for them. And I think some of the, Chaos Space Marines can kill Necrons. And Eldar can kill Necrons and also slow them down. Grey Knights did really well into a bunch of matchups, but I think lost out into some of the Chaos Space Marines matchups.
Yeah.
And so I brought a Calexis and a leadership buff that basically just, literally those two units basically did nothing other than the Calexis was just an assassin, which was fine. And the leadership buff literally never became... it became relevant on one leadership check. I passed on a 5 instead of a 6 for that one guy. Hello? Okay.
We got a frozen note. There.
Okay, so that leadership buff was good for literally one moment. And that was it. But playing there, I think we got a better idea of what the meta actually looks like. And I think the meta actually looks like Chaos Space Marines, World Eaters, Votann, Eldar, obviously.
Yeah.
Some Tyranids by incredibly skilled players, but other than that, I think they fall off in certain areas. Orcs are definitely still prevalent. Ben Jones did very well, was playing Orcs. Orcs did a lot, had a bunch of 4-1 finishes, so that was cool. But I think we're talking right now we're in the era of aggressive power armor armies, and armies that can play the mission really, really well while delivering downrange fire, right? Votann has Hearthguard to mix it up in the middle, but also a great amount of firepower. They also have mobility.
CSM.
CSM can go super, just I'm punching you in the face, but they can also play the mission.
And a lot of the stuff that is very punchy can also play the mission. So it's not even a list has to be specifically tailored to be a good mission play mission.
And I think Marines are always going to be in the meta, right? And I think they're always going to be in there. I think Orcs are really good right now because basically Custodes not being a really scary melee army anymore.
Yeah.
Orcs can just go steamroll some people. I bet Joe has been loving that.
He's been loving it, I'm sure.
Yes, although I feel like I can't ever kill anything in every game I play.
Is that because
I end up getting
exists?
What?
Is that because Armor of Contempt exists?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
but
I'll kill 4 things, and then I'll have 2 units of Gretchen hiding in ruins, and that'll be the end of the game.
But hey, that can win you the game right there.
Yep.
You've done pretty well with them, though, Joe.
Thank you.
So I guess my question for y'all is like, what is your observation? What do you think? How are y'all prepping for the existing meta going into Kippers and also your Dayton, Ohio game?
So I'm pretty much just going to be playing kind of the same list I've been playing. I have made some adjustments to it. So I still have to play the primary extremely hard, which is why I have 18 pigs that just sit on the deployment line and go forward to keep people off objectives. The changes that I've made are the Nabon Smashical Squig is. I have not been having good success with him, so I cut him, traded him out for a second Weird Boy, because Weird Boys are awesome at scoring secondaries because they can teleport and they are very small. So,
Cool.
And I took 1 unit of Beast Snagga Boys and broke it into 2 units of Storm Boys to also play the mission better. So that's what I'm trying to, or play score secondaries better, I should say. So I still have no reservations about not being able to kill anything. So I will just die on that hill scoring my primary every game.
And you know what? As my good friend Scott De Winter Wilkie says, you just have to believe. And then he like rolled 10 dice, and all of them were 5s and 6s. So as an orc, you just got to believe.
Yep.
Paint it red, go fast, roll the dice, and go. For me,
real quick,
I think,
yeah. Is there a specific army you're like, oh no, we'll exclude Eldar from this? Is there anyone other than Eldar you're like, I don't want to see them on the table?
I actually think I can. The couple games I've played into Eldar, especially now with their points going up even more, I feel like I can maybe hang with them.
Even with Night Spinners?
Oh yeah, well pigs ignore the movement penalty, so they don't care.
Hero.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So even the advance thing?
Yeah, they just ignore all modifiers to movement. That's just like their ability on their data sheet. So I've never had it come up, but as a former Eldar player who is constantly bullied by orcs, if you just start touching all their stuff, they can't do anything about it. And
they don't like it.
Yeah, and elves break really easy.
Oh, we got a question. Someone bring that up in the chat.
So, yeah, I'm on it.
Black Templars in the meta. Okay, so they're very good. And there is a build that Steven from Vanguard Tactics was playing and other people are playing, and it's starting to get perfected, that is just running basically like insert as many 20-man blobs as you possibly can, make them incredibly terrifying, and hit somebody with 100+ attacks. And it's pretty glorious. I think their detachment is really good.
Yeah.
But I also think if that 20-man blob can advance and charge all the time, if all of those 20-man blobs can advance and charge, it's also pretty terrifying. I think Black Templar are good in the meta currently, and I think we're going to continue to see them put up better numbers, especially as they get the new Codex units, like the Primaris Jump Pack Marines and that kind of stuff.
I dare say they are likely the strongest Space Marine flavor right now. I think that could change with the Codex coming out, but it's going to be non-Codex chapters leveraging the new detachments in fun, exciting, painful ways.
Space Wolves, I think we're going to see a lot of Space Wolves.
Space Wolves and Dark Angels with the Iron Hands detachment, actually, the Talon Masters. Sure. Yeah. So yeah, that's actually a really good segue, because I think there is something to be said for knowing your local meta. So going into Kippers, there's a couple players I'm watching. I won't name names, but they know who they are. But there is a Black Templar. He's one of my good friends, and I helped him design his list, and I'm like terrified of this thing. But that's, I have to be ready. So when I'm thinking about what am I looking for in this meta, there are the typical things. Like, I know I'm going to have to be able to beat Eldari at some point in the tournament. So last night, my good friend and very strong Eldar player came over. We had a practice game. He obliterated me, and I changed my list as a result. It was great. So you got to know you have the tools to deal with that kind of menace. But then beyond that, I do tend to actually look at who are the players I think I'm going to see day 2 if I have a good day 1. And for that, it's making sure I have the tools to take on things that I know are specific to players. Like everyone knows I'm an Ultramarine, and I'm always going to be an Ultramarine player. I know there are certain people, like there's a guy that comes to Kippers who plays Knights. He was at Tacoma. He ended up in the top cut.
Is that,
My good
I know who you're talking about.
Scott Darbison. I will name names. Fuck it. YOLO. So Darbison's really good. I expect to see him there rocking with his Knights. My friend Liam on his Necrons. Gary Sacco on his Black Templar. Like there's some names that I know that are gonna be people to watch. So
Is McDougal going?
sorry,
Is McDougal going?
McDougal's not going as far as I know, so I won't have to worry about some terrifying Tyranids. But you also have to keep in mind new codexes that come out for armies like Tyranids, Space Marines, Eldar. Those things will drive people to show up en masse with those armies that like most people have one of them, sitting around. So there's something to be said for that. I know I'm going to be doing my homework on Tau because I know that Tau's been really good, and I actually haven't run into them very much in
They've
10.
gotten much better.
Yeah, I've heard and I've seen. So I think it really comes down to knowing, broad strokes what is the meta, but then like know your event specific meta as well. It's kind of easy for me to say that because like this one is on Vancouver Island. It does draw a few folks from Western Canada, but we do typically know a lot of the people to know. There's I think 100 players going, so you never know for sure. But I was listening to John Lennon talk about his win at Crucible, and that I love what he said about build a list that has the tools to take on the best and hope that you can outplay the rest. I think that's a pretty good philosophy, and that's kind of where I'm at with how I've built my list.
It's kind of where I'm at with Knights as well. I have some tech, but actually I don't mind. I just need to stay secret. I mean, I'm sure people will figure it out. As soon as they see my list, they'll understand. So I am taking a rogue trader retinue and 10 breachers and a Calidus in addition to my normal Knights list. And I'm taking the reduced AP by 1 on my errand. The rogue trader lets you redeploy D3 battle line units. It also gives its unit infiltrate. The breachers reroll all wounds against anything on an objective. All 4 models in the rogue trader unit have a 4-up invul. One of the breachers has a 4-up invul because of his shield. The rogue traders give the entire unit and the breacher unit a 5-up feel no pay. So what you have, and then they have a demo charge in the breachers, which is D6 plus 3 shots at strength 12 AP 2 damage. Blast at 12 inches, 1 shot. So this entire army, this unit comes down to a 4 deploying infantry unit I can put like 9 inches away from Joe's orcs and say, sorry.
Oh.
I can also redeploy it and up to D3, which means includes my armigers because they're battle line. And I can redeploy into reserve. So that's cool.
That adds a lot of flexibility to an otherwise pretty predictable sort of army.
And then this unit can almost kill a Necron warrior blob by itself.
Because of the blast too. Well, yeah, that's deadly.
It puts out 30 plus attacks and shooting, rerolling all wounds against a unit on an objective. Everything in it is strength 4 or better. It's got a melter gun. It's got a bunch of stuff. It's got assault weapons to advance and do action. And then in melee, it's like 30 attacks, and it's got like power weapons and like it's got a death cult assassin in the retinue and like all these things.
What?
Yeah, because the 4 rogue traders are like characters with like their own melee weapons. They have like 2 to 4 attacks each and whatever. And then the breachers all have attacks and combat weapons. And then one of the breachers has a chain fist. One of the breachers has a power axe. So it's like 30 plus attacks, rerolling all wounds if you're on an objective. So it's like 60 attacks in total, targeting a blob from this 200 point random unit. It only gives up 1 character, because only one model in the entire blob is character. It's 18 wounds. No, it's 20 wounds in total. That takes it takes about 37 wounds to kill it because of 4-up invulns and whatever. And that's assuming none of the 4+ save guys get to use their save and only get their feel no pain. It actually goes up significantly more if they get a save. So it's like this incredibly hard to kill 14 model blob that has a 5-up feel no pain, 4+ invulnerable saves, 4-up armor saves. They put out 60 attacks between shooting and melee. They get re-rolls, has a redeploy, has an infiltrate, and it's got grenades, and they have a special grenade belt, so they get one more dice on the grenade roll.
Oh, great. Perfect. You know, when you started talking about this, I thought it was going to be some this is going to give him a lot of secondary play, but of course it's just violence.
And it's what so here's the thing, it's also OC 24. The breachers are OC 2, so
that's even more than an Orn.
It's 3 times the OC of an Armiger, and it's something like, let's see, 3. So it's 7 times the number of attacks, right? And it's significantly more survivable than an Armiger, and it's 50 more points.
Man.
So that's my
creatures.
2 questions about this.
All right, let's go.
Can the character kill a Technomancer or a Apothecary Biologist in an epic challenge?
Yes. I think. Ooh, let's see.
You wound me, Joe. You wound me.
That guy needs to die.
I need context. What is it from?
You missed last week. Oh my god, Joe killed me with the slide.
Okay.
I'm still getting comments about that, Joe. I just want you to know.
What happened?
About the biologist.
My war boss charged him turn 1 and challenged the Apothecary to a duel, and then just croquet malleted him into orbit.
There's a slide. There's a photo.
Yes.
There was a photo. We're gonna report back from him at some point. By the way,
we're gonna check in, see how his progress is going. He's still up there.
I don't know if you can kill him in close combat by himself. He gets 4 attacks at strength 4, AP 1 damage, hitting on 3s.
Yeah, he mathematically cannot.
The Death Cult Assassin is precision, though.
Okay, so combined with the Death Cult Assassin, it's possible.
5 attacks hitting on 2s at 4, 2, 1 precision. So
it's possible.
It's 9 attacks at 4, 2, or 4, 1, 1.
All right. Well, the Technomancer is not super durable.
You can definitely kill a Technomancer. Biologist is like a
T6, 3 up, 5 wounds. That's
that's hard.
That's tougher.
A little luck.
But you've seen how many 2s I can roll, so it could happen.
And I think this segues us into okay, so right now I honestly think the meta is open enough that you can play basically anything you want to play if it's not AdMech, basically. And even AdMech is doing okay. AdMech is doing 4-1.
Honestly, as long as it's not a meme, I think you can play it. Yeah,
just about as long as, and I've also noticed, so the other thing I observed is all of the score games tend to be a lot closer.
Mm-hmm.
You have to really be on your scoring now. You should make a plan, either fixed or tactical, and you should understand. And then it's something that I haven't been doing, which I know people have been saying that I'm going to start doing as a way to up my game, is I actually haven't been tracking and predicting Sisters and AdMech need a buff. They do need a buff. Judah says Sisters and AdMech need a buff.
Sisters are not in a super awesome spot.
No, they're probably the worst army right now.
Hold on, I'm pulling this one up. So someone went 3-2 with Imperial Agents at LGT. You can win with memes.
I want to play that guy so bad.
That is an Imperial hero, is what that is. But I will say, you can win games. I'm not saying you can't win games. Winning an event, a 5+ game event, that's tough. That's tough because you're going to get checked at the top, if not nowhere else.
For sure. I think in the course of this too, I've fallen in love with Votan. I'm going to start.
Uh-oh.
I'm actually starting a hobby project of. I'm going to do a Tyranids Votan kit bash of like bio mutation, like biotech horror. I'm gonna paint it all in grayscale, other than the biotech pieces, like I'm gonna do in really extreme colors.
Interesting.
And kind of do it like almost like what's that called? Like space horror kind of. So
Yeah.
really excited for that. But I think I'm on nights till probably LVO. And
you're
it's one of
firmly
those-
cemented as first place knights at this point, right?
Yeah, I mean I have to play it. So Brian Jones is a human who exists. So if I don't play,
A beautiful human.
he
It was
is
very
great.
good.
And if I continue to play knights at my major events, I think I'll continue to keep him at bay. He's like 60 to 80 points behind me. He's had some good placings. If I take them to LVO, I don't think there's a way anyone's going to get it out of me, unless I just literally go like 1-4, or whatever at LVO. But if I have a winning record at LVO, I think there's no way anyone can take it from me.
For someone like me who's never been to LVO or a big super major like that, how many ITC points do you typically get for just having a winning record?
It's like 200 plus just for having a winning record.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
It's
LGT
pretty
is
tough.
hard. LGT is less people by maybe 100 or more. And I went 3-1-1, took 125th or 130th place, and I got 199 ITC points.
Nice.
Yeah.
So a 3-2 or a 4-1 is going to get you easily over 200 plus points. And
So-
if you want a best in faction and you don't go to LVO, it's very hard to get.
Very tough. So, question. I want to go take a couple steps back. You very briefly talked about secondaries, fixed or tactical.
Fixed.
I have been doing tactical the whole time. Joe, you felt bullied by people for taking fixed. But like LGT, we saw a lot of the top players taking fixed. Can you talk about that? Like what is the right way? Is there a right way? And kind of where is your heart leading you? Noah, I want to hear what you got to say first. Then Joe, I'm coming for you.
So I actually get my feelings hurt every time I play against someone who takes fixed because it gives me flashbacks to 9th edition. Basically, everyone takes teleport homers and bring it down against me. And invariably, my opponents max those. At that point, how I win is I just kill the shit out of their primary. I put armigers on their objectives and make them take 5s, right? And even then, them still getting 20 primary points or better, they're still like coming in at like 60s and 80s. So I have to be like on my game. So even one bad turn of tactical. I have considered building for fixed myself, saying, hey, I'm gonna get 2 squads of Imperial agents and 2 assassins, and then use that plus armigers, do deploy and cleanse or something, and just be like rock the points. But I've decided that my plan is actually just to destroy your primary, and call that good. So my plan is basically, if you take fixed against me, my plan is to put you on 5s and 0s as much as possible and ruin your primary game while not worrying about your secondary game. That's not how I've been playing. So I don't actually like to play that way. I like to just maximize my scoring and score more than you. But if you build for fixed and you can kill my knights, there's literally no way I can beat you by playing like a fair game of 40K. I have to play a bully game where I'm pushing you off of primary, which is not how I like to play, because I like us to both have like all of our points, me to score a 99 and you to score a 98 and call it good. Then we're both really happy about it. But
if you have to, you will put your gigantic knight boot on someone's throat.
And one thing I have to start doing against my opponents who play tactical and on myself is actually I'm going to get a little sheet and I'm going to track which ones I've gotten. Which one's my
Listen, man, you got to use the ITC Battles app, the Goonhammer Battles app. It's all there, baby. It's all there.
I actually hate using apps to track. I like doing it.
It literally has all the parameters like built into it. So there's literally no confusion on how many points do I score.
But what I have to track is not it's to track to know what like. So this is something that Nick actually, my teammate, opened me up to. He's like, if you calculate what secondaries they have, you can, within a variance, predict what they're going to be having to try to score next turn, and actually place yourself to dash their secondaries.
Yeah, and you know what's a real easy way to see that? Sorry.
I know, I'll do it. I just hate it so much. I'm also blind, so I have to get like a big screen. Okay, someone else answer this question.
Okay, Joe, because I know you have a very different approach. Talk to me about your fixed, brother.
Yeah, I'm going to take the reactionary approach here because I liked secondaries in 9th edition. So I like fixed because usually with the primary, it comes down to I'm usually up around 20 or so points. So then this is assuming I am completely tabled by the end of the game, because I will try to just scrape out every point I possibly can. So then my second, it kind of, as long as I maintain that primary lead, as long as I don't bomb out on my secondaries, and obviously this is just like basic math, so this is like a John Madden approach to scoring points, but yeah, so as long as I can get like roughly around 30 points on secondaries, then that pretty much locks it in for all the games I've played.
And what secondaries do you take with the orc?
Oh yeah, so yeah, the old deploy teleport homers is pretty tried and true. Depending on and then it's going to really depend on what the opponent is. If they are a small footprint army, I'll probably do behind enemy lines or engage. If they are a Knights player like Noah, I will take Bring It Down because that's easy. I actually just realized that Assassinate was 4 points a character and not 3 still. So yeah, I might start considering to take that. Cleanse is a good one on the missions where you have control over where the objectives are placed. So the one where the players put them in no man's land, if you get that first drop, you can put 2 of them right on your deployment line, basically, and you can just park your whole army on that triangle and just max cleanse. And
so the scary thing about that mission, though, is technically you don't know if that's your deployment zone or not until the attacker defender roll, which happens after.
Oh, true story.
Joseph doesn't care.
Yeah,
I'll just go across the board anyway. Yeah,
that's fair.
I'm moving in there one way or another.
These are questions an orc wouldn't even bother asking. So
this is true. Sorry, I'm an ultramarine. I can't help it.
The logistics make no sense. The codex does not support this action.
Does not support this action, but hey, wow.
Ritual's another one like that where you can just make the objectives.
We have a question.
Oops. Y'all think
The question
DTH is going to get altered? Seems it is an auto take for built fixed objectives.
I mean, I can't imagine it does. It's the deploy center. I mean, maybe they just buffed it though, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure because I think if we see people exclusively taking fixed, then it might. I think we're seeing everyone who takes fixed typically takes homers, but I don't know that we'll necessarily see it get ripped apart just yet.
It definitely seems to be the no-brainer one, and as an orc, I have no brain, so that's the one I take.
Cleanse is technically a better option if you have if you have OBSEC, they can easily get people off of take people's objectives away even without fighting, because cleanse can get you 4 points a turn, while homers in the middle get you 3, and you can actually get you can get to the 20 without getting into your opponent's deployment zone. So if you're an army that can't go past midboard incredibly well, reliably without basically interacting with your opponent, cleanse is actually better. But if you have the ways to get over there and interact in your opponent's deployment zone, then it's a little different.
So I'm still a little bit unconvinced. I think there's going to be games where I do take fixed at Kippers. I've built obviously for homers. I've built for potentially behind enemy lines. And I think it's going to depend on what I'm playing. Like last night in my practice game against my Eldar buddy, I was reticent to take fixed because I feel like, especially against a fast army like Eldar or an army like Orcs where you've got the speed and the numbers, it's just so predictable. You know what I'm going to want to do. So you're going to be able to stop me. Whereas I find tactical, yeah, sometimes the cards can really screw you, but sometimes they just give you a free 10 plus points in a round for just existing where you are. So I still am not convinced that there's a right or a wrong way to approach it. But I mean, hey, by the time we're doing the show, I will have finished Skippers, so I'll let you guys know how it went.
Awesome.
My connection being a little bad, so I went off of camera.
Oh, you're a disembodied voice.
There's something deeply unnerving about that, but Noah has ascended.
So what day, what weekend is the Golden Ticket tournament in Atlanta?
I'm going down on the 16th, and it's that weekend.
16th
November.
Day. Okay.
Are you gonna come party with us, Joe?
No.
Please do.
There's the grand narrative.
I'm still a broke-ass buster after Charity Hammer.
That's fair. We're going to have to start a Joe fund to just drag you around with us. I'm not mad at that. I have to get revenge for that violent game.
Yeah, that wasn't I don't think that was a terribly good expression of skill on either player's part. So.
Was it like at 2 a.m?
No, that was the last game of Charity Hammer that we played. So
it was the last game because the finals ended very quickly.
Dead, yeah. Look, actually, really it was funny. Last night, playing my first practice game since, and for those that know me, I like my toys and I like my gear, so I have a little utility belt like Batman when I'm playing 40K. Everything was just shoved in the one pocket. Everything was disorganized, and I had this thought oh man, I was so brain dead and out of it when we were packing up after that game that it was a hot mess. So literally, I've got my cart right here. I've got to reorganize everything well before that the tournament coming up.
We got a question. Are we going to Adepticon this year? I probably won't be.
I am not. I haven't gone. I went to 5 in a row, and then I kind of got to the point where it's well, I'm not really good enough to, because the main event is the main event's the team tournament, but the singles is only one day, and if you don't get in the top 16, then you're pretty much done at that point. So it's a 5-day investment for the hotel room and for basically 4 rounds of Warhammer crammed into one day, and I just wasn't super about that.
So for me, it's a bit of a challenge because my anniversary with my girlfriend falls on Adepticon, so that's a tough sell. The one thing that could pull me into it wouldn't be the Warhammer tournament. I would go to submit something for Golden Demon. If I were going to do that, this would be like Cass is taking a year off of the tournament circuit and painting one model. So. And I don't expect to win. I mean, these people are. I guess I'm technically a professional painter too, but the people that win are at a very different level. If I got the finalist badge, I could die happy. So I will eventually go. I don't know if next year is in the cards.
Okay.
If you have a team to go with, I mean, it's super awesome for especially the hobby side of it as well. The displays there are insane because they're carried around in snowmobile trailers.
Yeah, because unlike the UK scene, this is a display board culture.
Yep.
It very much is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're coming to the end.
All right.
Though, on the note of a team event, if there was ever a chance for us to play in a team event together, I would do that in a heartbeat.
100%.
That would be awesome.
100%. Okay, I do know of some news bubbling up of a team circuit coming to North America, to the US. But I think we could talk about that at some point, having a best overall team. I'm into that.
That would be pretty cool.
I'm very into that. So stay tuned. We'll figure out, iron out the details on that.
So yeah, are we ready to wrap up then?
I think so.
All right. Be sure to check out the. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. Be sure to check out the other shows on the network. I'm sure you do already. Regular Best in Faction Next Generation, and This Week in 40K. Please like and subscribe to the channel and this episode. That helps people elsewhere see it in their news feed on YouTube. You can check us out on each of our individual Instagram pages. Right here. Noah at Noah Badome. Me at Bro American Man, Red, White, and Blue coming at you. And Kaz at Kaz Paints. And thank you to Aegis Games as our official sponsor. Anything to add about that, Noah?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll always talk about the store if I can. So Aegis Games, we're starting to do more things, but we are a little itty bitty store up in Bellingham, Washington, right near the border of Canada. We are a place that tries to promote the idea that like this is a safe place to come, chill, and play your best game. We love competitive play and competing at the highest level while being a nice people. We do that in all of our different games we support. We have a Malifaux team that's internationally recognized at this point as being some of the better players in the world. We've got some really amazing War Machine and Warhammer Horde players. One of the world's best players is the regular guy who runs all of our events and stuff. His name is Sean. And we've got a really amazing competitive Magic Commander group that is also active at the national scene. So check us out. We've got a web store we're moving more things onto. We've got cool merch. Come play some games. Reach out to us if you need help with anything. We do a lot of hobby stuff. And we've got a bunch of really cool things. And I don't know a lot yet, but we are currently in the moving into the stages where in the next probably couple weeks, we're going to be announcing an Aegis Games open that's going to have a 40K event that we're hoping to have 150 player cap. A Magic event with running Magic events all weekend, as well as a bunch of small events, board game stuff, etc. And we're going to shoot for having a Malifaux event, a War Machines and Warhammer Hordes event, as well as probably at least one of the Star Wars IPs and AOS.
Awesome.
It's going to take place probably over 4 to 5 days, and we're going to try to do it twice a year, once in the very early spring and once in the early fall. But we'll have dates here in the next month or so.
Amazing. And I gotta say, if best overall was a game store, it's Aegis Games.
Oh, you're very kind. Very kind.
It's just true. I mean, the Steiger brothers are that's the home. And some of the hobby in this store, if there's armies in the display cases, go check them out, because crikey, they're beautiful.
Yeah, I think only one of the people who works behind the counter isn't an accomplished painter, and that
There you go.
And that person's their main thing is Magic, not even painting.
There you go.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. I hope for everybody that this helped, and if y'all need anything, let us know. We'll be back in 2 weeks, and I think we're going to talk about hobby next time.
Yes, sir.
Sounds good.
Wish me luck. I actually applied for Team USA. So
wow.
I might not get it. Obviously there's you have to be top 100 ELO. So there's 99 other people I'm competing with, but, and I'm just a Dopey Knights player, but give me lots of hope and prayers. And we'll see what works.
Good luck to you. I wish me luck, because I applied for Team Canada. Ours is top 50 ELO. Different scale though, of Warhammer playing population, but yeah, no, it is the only thing that might see me go off of Ultramarines, because there's some really, really high performing established Space Marine players that have traditionally been on the team or are in the pool. So I've definitely mentioned that I have a couple armies in box on Sprue that I will launch myself at if that is what the team desires. So wish me luck as well.
Also, I have multiple armies you can borrow anytime.
Beautiful.
Wouldn't it be the like the dream for us both to get onto the teams, make it to go to the event, and then be able to like have a drink together at WTC?
I would absolutely love that, and I think we're gonna have to start the Send Joe to WTC fund. I'm not even kidding.
You just bring it with War Masters? Oh,
Yeah.
Also,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you guys applied. It's closed window, but I also applied to No Retreat.
No, you told me about this, and I didn't know, and they were already closed. So next time, buddy.
You know what
next
No
time.
Retreat is, right, Joe?
Oh yeah, in Gibraltar.
Yeah, I applied to No Retreat this year, so we'll see.
That's awesome.
If I go though, I would say I would take one of y'all with me, but if I go, I'm taking my wife because like a weekend in Gibraltar with my wife seems like a little better than you two, but not by much. Joke, by a lot.
Yeah. I would slap you if you offered to take me over your wife.
All right. Well,
And you guys can wish me luck slumming it in the mid tables. Thanks.
dude, weren't you one game from winning the last major you went to?
Yeah, but it was only like
Yeah, Joe's the guy who has picked up like 90% of my army off the board and telling me that I'm a better player than him. Joe will
you're
never. Fantastic.
This is one of the reasons I like Joe so much. When me and Joe started talking initially, like I didn't know if he was like how good of a player he was, and then he was like, "Oh, I'm not very good, whatever." And then I saw his performance at events, and I'm like, "What?" And I immediately fell in love with Joe because he's like, and especially in person, super chill, very relaxed, humble, kind to everybody, and then just trashing you on the table. Like, "Oh, you're so much better than me."
Thanks.
I look forward to hearing about your performance at your tournament this weekend, Joe.
Thank you.
Good luck, sir.
For sure.
And I'm looking forward to hearing about your guys.
Is Kippers this weekend?
No, it's next weekend.
Okay, cool. I'm going to be gone this weekend. I'm going to be in the Bahamas with my wife on a New Kids on the Block cruise.
Amazing. Ridiculous, but amazing.
Yeah, I'll tell you about it later.
Is Marky Mark going to be there?
No, that's his brother will be.
Oh, Daddy.
Let's sign off
Okay,
and we can. Yes, Lord. All right, everybody. We love you. Bye.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Take care, everyone.